the first day of spring and Persian New Year, Nowruz. And it's my delight to welcome Arther Kimball, who will be our feature artist, presenter. And I'm gonna, if you haven't had a chance to read his biography, I would like to read that to you, please. Arther has been devoted to Meher Baba for over 50 years. He started playing guitar at 12 years of age, continuing with classical studies under one of Segovia's disciples in New York in 1972. After moving to Myrtle Beach in 1977, he went on pilgrimage to Mehrabad in 78 and had the honor of playing with Adi K. Irani and Mani, also for Mera and Bauji, and Mohammad Damast. I wonder what he thought about that. After returning to Myrtle Beach, he studied violin for 11 years with a retired concert maker. Don't know who that was.
Concert master.
Master. Who was
Man
that?
Hudson.
Mm-hmm. Presently retired, he devotes time to sitar, sarod, sitar, and kamanche. These are, most of them are Persian. Sitar is Indian, classical. Arther has repair string instruments as well. So please join me in welcoming Arther.
Did you mention that he worked at the center?
Well, of course, yeah, everybody knows that. How many years?
25.
25 years served the beloved at the center. Thank you for everything. Jai Meher Baba.
So I'm going to start out with the sitar, which you're probably all a little familiar with. Okay. I won't go into that too much unless somebody really wants to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be playing two rags. Bhairav, which is Shiva, and Bhairavi, which is Parvati. And Bhairav is the first rag. It's the original rag. Shiva exists before there is creation, actually. So, and it goes back and forth. And there's a couple of things that you might find interesting to listen for that will be happening. So, Bhairav for Shiva goes like this. It's very simple in theory. I could do that again up here. Okay. And Bhairavi, Bhairav has two flatted notes. This the second note and the sixth note of the scale. Okay. By Ravi, Parvati sounds like this. It has this sound. You'll hear that from time to time. Hopefully it'll work out nicely. Putting rags together is something that people sometimes do. They'll do one rag going up the scale and another rag going down the scale or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen, so we'll see. But I'll start out with Bhairav, and we'll add Bhairavi, and then we'll be going back and forth some. And hopefully I can play the tablas and the drones at the same time.
It's a talent.
one other thing, my sa, which would be do or one, in Indian music doesn't change. It's whatever works for you. Because I have had health issues like many. When I discovered that our DNA vibrates at 528 hertz, I decided to make my C 528 hertz. I'm also not playing in equal temperament. So you will probably notice some notes that sound a little stranger. Hopefully not too many notes that sound really strange.
Sounded great.
Sound good?
Yeah.
A little feedback. So I'm going to do another rag now. This rag is called Kafi, K-A-F-I. It's very old. It goes back to about 4000 BC, which is about the time of Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita. It is also was at one time considered the natural scale. And unlike our major scale, it actually has some flatted notes as well. This is a sarod. It evolved in India from actually a Persian instrument, I guess, right? How do you say it?
Which one?
Do you know which one? Rabab or something?
Rabab.
Rabab?
Is it rabab or rabab?
Robab.
Robab.
Rabab. Okay. Persian's pretty weak. Anyway, that was a smaller instrument. It didn't have, this is chrome, steel, fingerboard. It didn't have that. It had like a wooden fingerboard. It had silk strings or gut strings. So later on, they developed this guy as sort of a bass version of that, and in India. And so it's got a goatskin head. So it's sort of like a predecessor of a banjo in a way. But anyway, since banjo is the only instrument America ever produced, we don't want to take that away. This is actually tuned very similarly to the sitar. It's the notes that you play on mostly are like 1, 5, 1, and 4. For those that know something about music. So, and this particular version was developed by Ali Akbar Khan's father, and Ali Akbar Khan's father was also Ravi Shankar's master. So his father was played lots of different instruments and composed all kinds of things, and really got Ravi Shankar going on music. And because before that he was actually a dancer with his older brother in France. And and Ali Akbar Khan in his later years, starting in the 60s or so, opened a school for Hindustani music, North Indian music, in San Francisco area. So this instrument actually came to me from Anne O'Neill, who, when she was a young lady, apparently, went and studied sarod with Ali Akbar Khan. And then she decided that maybe violin and cello were better instruments for her, right? Anyway. I have to adjust my level a little bit on this.
Arthur, could you say it again? I just want to make sure I understood about the tuning. You said it's 581 hertz. Is that what you, for the
Yeah,
the
see,
sitar, but
yeah, this
say
is
something about
528 hertz.
520.
Yeah. Doesn't that feel like it's vibrating with you?
Sounds harmonious.
So this is coffee. Oh, Ali Akbar Khan's father added these notes. So you can play a chord of sorts, or 3, 2, and 9, 8, 3, 2, and 7 in this case. But it changes. And this has got 15 sympathetic strings, where that has only 13. I spend a lot of time tuning. The other fun thing about this is you have to play it with your fingernails, because if you use your fingers, it sounds like this. And a fingernail sounds like this. So, you have to have good fingernails. Let's see. Okay, we're going to get, oh no. So this is, this is a Turkish lute, Turkish oud, sorry. Ouds all through the Middle East. There were Persian ouds too, right? Yes, in Persia, played ouds as well. Yeah. Several different versions. This is a Turkish one. There are some that have a different kind of bridge and stuff like that. But this is a lovely instrument. I got this because I got myself one sort of cheaper one, and Ellen liked it so much, it's her favorite. She said, "Why don't you buy a better one?" And I went, "Oh, gee, okay." So I got this one, and it's handmade in Turkey, and it's really quite lovely.
Wow, gorgeous.
Yeah. So, ouds are, the first four courses are in D, A, E, and B, which maybe sounds a little weird, but these are in fourths, which a guitar is mostly in fourths also. So it's not that unusual. And then the two bottom courses are nice basses that you can tune almost anywhere depending on what key you're playing in. Turkish music is really interesting because they actually tried to notate their music on a Western staff. And I say try because their music has 52 notes per octave, unlike ours, which has 12.
We hear you talking.
So you know, they're basically working with whole tones, half tones, quarter tones, eighth tones, stuff like that. So that allows you, when you don't have any frets, to mess up a bunch, and you can still make it sound good if you're quick enough. Since I haven't studied Turkish music heavily, I basically like to play rags. Talanga is an interesting rag, and it's a pentatonic rag, which means basically there's 5 notes. And it sounds sort of like this. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the octave. Okay. And then descending, it does a flatted 7th. Anyway, let's see. I might try some. Drum on this, if I can. Is that loud enough? Talanga is a scale that is related to Hindal, which is one of the names for Krishna. And it also is a scale that Islamic Sufis often use in ghazals and such things like that. poetry?
Jai Baba. Are you ready? بوی خوش تو هر که ز باد صبا شنید، از یار آشنا سخن آشنا شنید. اینش سزا نبود دل حق گزار من، که از غمگسار خود سخن ناسزا شنید. ای شاه حسن چشم به حال گدا فکن، که این گوش بس حکایت شاه و گدا شنید. خوش می کنم به باده مشکین مشان جام، که از دلق پوش صومعه بوی ریا شنید. سر خدا که عارف سالک به کس نگفت، در حیرتم که باده فروش از کجا شنید. ما باده زیر خرقه نه امروز می کشیم، 100 بار پیر میکده این ماجرا شنید. یا رب کجاست محرم رازی که یک زمان، دل شرح آن دهد که چه دید و چه ها شنید. ما می به بانک چنگ نه امروز می کشیم، بس دیر شد که گنبد چرخ این صدا شنید. ساقی بیا که عشق ندان می کند بلند، آن کس که گفت قصه ما هم ز ما شنید. پند حکیم عین ثواب است محض خیر، فرخنده بخت آنکه بسعم رضا شنید. حافظ وظیفه تو دعا گفتن است و بست، در بند آن مباش که نشنید یا شنید. This is my translations. Whoever imbibed your beautiful scent from the morning breeze, heard familiar words from a familiar friend. Was it fair that my fair heart heard unkind words from this banisher of sorrows? O Lord, full of grace, have an eye toward this mendicant. This ear has heard enough talk about the mercy of kings toward beggars. I imbued my soul's nose with the musk scent of the wine of love. I imbued my soul's nose with the musk scent of the wine of love, after it smelled deception from the hypocrite in the monastery. The secret of God that would not be divulged by the mystic Salik, I am astounded how the wine cellar came to know about. It is not the first time that we drink wine under the cover of our robe. It is not the first time that we drink wine under the cover of our robe. The peer of the tavern has heard of this incident 100 times before. O Lord, where is a trustworthy confidant? So the heart may someday reveal the secrets of what it saw and what it heard. It is not the first time we drink wine at the sound of the harp, or oud, or chang. It is not the first time we drink wine at the sound of the harp. This sound has been heard in the dome of the skies for a long time. Come, O Saki, love is beckoning loudly. The one who tells our story heard it from ourselves. The advice of the wise men of knowledge is beneficial without a doubt. Fortunate are those who receive and make use of it. Hafiz, Your duty is to pray and nothing more. Be not concerned if it is heard or not heard.
Oh, there goes my soda.
Thank God it was 7-Up. That's. Last night, the pansy said to the rose and gave a charming hint. The weakness of my attachment to the world is due to the tresses of a beloved. My heart, which was a treasure trove of secrets, the hand of fate closed its door and gave away the key to a beloved. I arrived broken to your door. The physician sent me here to seek the healing cast of your grace. Go and heal thyself, O advice giver. When did wine, beloved and wine bearer, bring any harm to anyone? May his being be in good health, his heart cheerful, and his thoughts pleasant. The opportunity presented itself, and he lent a helping hand to the needy. He passed by my pitiable state and said to the non-believers, "Oh, what a shame how my lover has given up his life." The treasure chest of Hafiz's heart is overflowing with the pearls of secrets. Thanks to the grace of your love, it has given him a cosmic investment. And this is the first ghazal of Divan, and it's always auspicious to either begin or end with this, so I'll end with this. This is a ghazal that Baba quoted from often. Come, O Saki, pour wine into the cups and pass it around. At first, love seemed easy, but many hardships followed. In the hopes the morning breeze would unleash the scent of musk from the knots in his hair, what pain befell the hearts from the mere sight of those perfumed and disheveled locks. If your master orders you, drench your prayer rug in wine. The Salik is not unaware of the customs and ways of the path. A dark night, fear of the wave, a fierce whirlpool obstructing the way. What do the carefree know of our state while standing safely on the shore? How can I indulge in the enchantments of the house of the friend when the bell on the camel's neck shrieks, urging me to pack up and move on? All my efforts in self-indulgence have ended up in shame. How can a secret remain hidden when it's brought out into the open in gatherings? O Hafiz, if you want your beloved's presence, do not be absent from him. When at last you see your beloved, let go of your hold on the world and time. Jai Baba.
Do you need to turn that one off?
Maybe not.
It's humming.
Is it humming?
I thought it might feedback.
Yeah. This is a sitar. Sitar means 3 strings, but they added a 4th, an octave, so. We're always adding things, aren't we, as humans? I think Baba played an instrument that was similar, had 1 string. That's all he needed. The sitar is an instrument used by a lot of Sufis, and the story goes that I heard was that they would carry it under their cloak because if they were caught with one, they might lose their heads. So. Normally it has frets, but I found that far too confusing because there's many frets and they get to move them and stuff like that. So I just sort of wing it since I'm used to playing things that don't have frets now, which actually was a scary proposition to start at about 50 to start not having frets anymore. this is called a kamache. It's Persian. There is a real great exponent of this instrument on YouTube. His name is Kayhan Kalur. I think that's how it's pronounced. Pretty close. Okay. It's also called a spike fiddle. It has a lambskin head, 4 strings. It's sometimes tuned like a violin, but oftentimes it's in like 5-1, 5-1 tunings, or the opposite, could be 1-5, 1-5. There's other tunings too.
So do you want me to say Kamache joke?
A kamache joke? Yes, that would be really good.
Could you stand up so we can hear? Could
Huh?
you stand up so we can
Oh.
hear?
There were a couple of thieves.
A couple of thieves.
Yeah, they were, sawing a log to get into a store to steal. And the policeman comes and says, "What are you guys doing here?" This is, "You're playing kamucha, you know?"
Yeah, back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth, kamucha. This is, "I don't hear any noise. What's the sound? There is a sound." This is, "The sound is coming tomorrow."
Another nice thing about the kamache is up on the top here is the wine jar. The Sufi wine jar we just heard about. So this particular one, couldn't figure out how to play it regularly, so I added a violin fingerboard to it. Because Kayhan Kalur's kamache has camel leg bones on his neck, so that makes it harder. So I put an ebony fingerboard on it. One of the fun things about this is you don't have to move the bow much sometimes. The bow, I actually ended up making this bow because the bow they sent me was like a piece of electrical wire, aluminum wire with a rubber wrapping on it. Well, it must be really hard to find good wood or something, so I had some old bows and stuff like that, so I took the bow hair off and put it on a different bow. It seems to work okay. What I'm going to play is, hopefully, is an improvisation on a pattern called Shustari. Shustari? Shustari, yeah. It's an area in Iran that used to be on the Silk Road, and it was very big for a while. They even got to, apparently, they had a textile industry, and they got to put the, why am I feeding back? They got to put the covering on the Kaaba for some time. Wow. And then they put a railroad that bypassed that area, and now it's just a very small village. Sure.
I've noticed that the tension on the bow hair is very, very loose. How do you adjust it, or do you? How do you, just by the way you hold it?
Yeah, the way you hold it.
Okay.
It's sort of like a Baroque or a Renaissance, maybe bow, a viol bow.
Yeah, but those have don't they have an adjusting mechanism?
Sometimes they
His,
do.
his Baroque bow does, I know.
Yeah, that's true. But there were some bows, I think for the viols, the earlier instruments, the viols, because what they can do with that is by leaving the hair loose, you can get 3 or 4 note chords.
I get those accidentally playing violin anyway.
Not so much with this bow, but yeah, if you, some of those early Baroque or Renaissance viola da gambas that had like 6 strings, things like that, you could get more chord.
Arthur, what's the material that you draw across the bow? I mean, you draw across the strings?
It's horsehair.
Horsehair?
Yeah. Like a violin bow.
Oh, wow. I'm not used to seeing them so wide.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's me.
The string length is a little longer than a violin, but they're basically steel string, violin type strings. And you have to mess around with the bridge a bunch. That's why I stopped for a while. I bent the bridge back a little bit because you start to get it, and it's getting a wolf tone on one note, so it's got a sound. So, yeah. So Baba has been doing this with me, basically looking at music as a whole different way, rather than becoming a classical guitarist or a violinist or something in between many things I thought of trying, which I tried. And it just didn't seem to fit, but this idea of improvisation and using at least the Indian rods seemed to work for me. Yeah. Okay, I can do almost anything at this point. Anybody, what would you like me to play some more of?
Sitar.
Huh?
The sitar.
The sitar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Arthur's got
All
an
sound
Indian
beautiful, it's
soul.
hard to choose. For sure.
Yeah. So I was repairing instruments some and looking online for violins and parts for violins. And Baba whispered in my ear, and he said, "Look up sitar." So on eBay, I was looking on eBay. So I looked on eBay and I found this one, and it's, as far as I can tell, it was made by Ricky Ram, who made sitars for Ravi Shankar. And it's, Michael Siegel said, yeah, this is a good sitar. It's fully decorated. It has all this stuff here and more stuff up here as well. So it's a good sitar. It's not quite as large as Michael's. But sitars did change in sizes and for different situations and different tunes. But this is basically like Ravi Shankar's type of tune, because it's got this really low note, which isn't real strong on this instrument, but it's what I'm doing right now. There's another famous sitarist, Anayat Khan. It's not Hazrat Anayat Khan. There's another Anayat Khan. And they replaced this low C, low sa, with a higher string. might be another sa like this one, or it could even be a higher one like this, or it might be a ha like that. But I like to be able to
Sounds like there's a little feedback.
play the low notes. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. Is that feeding back now?
Too much violin.
Let's see. Okay, this is a rag called Yaman Kalyan. It has some other names as well. And this one, the major notes in a rag are often called the vadi, which would mean the king note, and the samvadi, which would be the prime minister. And on the other rags we did, the vadi was pa. That's better. And the samvadi is sa. But on this rag, the vadi is ga. And the samvadi is ni. So. I don't know why they don't put all the frets on here, but tradition. Thought there was going to be a little more poetry, but that's okay.
Do you want more?
Sure.
You still have a ride, right?
Were you gonna close with that special rag that you mentioned?
I already played that one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it started off with that one.
Well, you know, I'm gonna read
Want to
this.
read some more?
Nothing. Dean just left, and he said he wrote a poem inspired by your music.
Oh.
May I share that one?
Sure.
I am neither here nor there. The passage of time, passing clouds of a dream. A melody, Beirava, howls to the Beiravi. The interplay of the black-faced ones dancing around the fires of the charnel grounds. I had to look up charnel. That's had something to do with death. Death of the old, birth of the new. Ancient are they who oscillate in disunion and union. Forever the song of their longing can be heard in the wind on a moonlit night. For they eternally move in the hollows of the heart. For we are all Parvati, calling out to the one Shiva.
Oh.
Nice.
See what your music did? So bring us home with whatever you like.
Try a little bit more of this. These are interesting instruments. It's carved out of one piece of mahogany, basically. So they start and they just hollow this all out in here. It's quite a project. So much of this music is like blues. I mean, it just Blues, it's said, is the celebration of suffering. I'm about cooked. Anybody got any questions? Any other questions?
Arthur, to what extent is there improvisation in what you've done tonight, and and to what extent not,
Well,
roughly speaking?
yeah, see, so what I'm working from is an outline of a rag. It's no music.
I can't see I can't see anything about that.
Yeah, it's just writing information about it, so. And then, you know, some musician from India would probably say, you're not really playing rags. You know, you're really doing. Because a rag, the first thing they say about a rag is it should be beautiful. Now,
There you are.
that's very subjective, of course, and Indians would probably say something like, this is really beautiful, and you might not. But, you know, you might. The other thing is that a rag has an ascending and a descending scale, sort of, but it can change. The notes can be higher, slightly higher pitched going up, and then coming down be slightly lower pitched. So, and then certain rags like Bhairav and Bhairavi, the second on those is really low. Compared to that type of thing. So, they learn music by ear. They sit, you know, you have a guru who sits there and plays something, and you try to play it back. And you just do that, and you just, you know, Ali Akbar Khan
Right.
says in his book, his first year book from his school, which I try to practice some and study some, but it has its limitations. And he says, like, this is how my master taught it, and this is how I play it, you know. And he says that because other people play other things all different ways. And in terms of grace notes, you can use any pitch if it sounds good. And you can make it sound good by what you play after it or before it, which is interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Because in the East, it's very important, like the Arabic language I know actually changes depending on what you're saying. You have to like go back and change something here because now something else is happening over here and stuff. And of course, some languages don't go left to right, they go right to left, or they go up to down, right? So yeah, it's all kinds of things like that. But
What wood is sitar made of?
sitar is mostly tun. Yeah, mostly tun. The good ones are tun, which is mostly mahogany.
Mahogany.
Yeah. Yeah. All the fancy stuff, actually, all this stuff is plastic. Actually, it's just there for looks. Yeah. So they use a lot of mahogany. I guess it's available, a lot of it. There's other, shizum is another wood that's sort of similar to mahogany, but not quite as heavy. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It was delightful to hear all these different sounds, and boy, I was transported on a few of them.
Oh, good.
That's why I messed up all the Hafiz, so
Yeah.
Baba forgive me.
That's one of the
I
things
usually do better.
One of the things they say about rags is it sets moods. So you can have a mood where there's delight, but also melancholy, or so there's moods that seem like they're conflicting moods sometimes. They're suggested, but it's like, well, it's not like you're trying to make everybody experience the same mood. It's like you're giving everybody the opportunity to experience whatever they need to experience. And that's the hopeful thing with this kind of music.
You talk about the blues, and some of the most famous old blues singers who are no longer around used to say, sometimes you feel bad and you sing a sad song, it makes you feel better.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Okay, well, thank you once again. Please
Hey, Barbara.
Thank you so much.
visit our half-scene table, which is our Persian New Year set up there. And thanks all for coming and hanging out until now. Hey, Baba, Arther. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.